My name is Britt Galvin. I'm a mom of 3 and a wife to a deputy sheriff. I've been in the health insurance industry for 17 years. When the vaccines first came out, I was hesitant. I have autoimmune disease and have been in remission. Although the officials were telling us that it was safe, I knew that my body and what inflammation was capable of doing to me. I called my physician to ask for an exemption, but I was denied based on the Board of Rheumatology saying no. I could not get back to work unless I was vaccinated. I received my first dose of Moderna on March 24th of last year. Although I was not 50, which was the law at the time, I walked right into the pharmacy with no proof of age and no identification. I asked the pharmacist if I would have any side effects based on my pre-existing conditions, and I was told no and given no informed consent. My second was May 5th. 13 days later, I had to call 911. My body completely seized up. I could not feel my legs. I had extreme chest pain, fainting, and suffered from neurological symptoms. The paramedics who showed up were under the impression that I was on drugs because of how my body was acting, and therefore took me to a detox hospital instead of an actual hospital. I was transferred from hospital to hospital over a 2-week period where I was mocked, belittled, gaslit, and neglected. How dare I mention that? I continue to show symptoms that were undeniable yet unexplainable. I became unable to utilize my legs and became paralyzed. On the 4th hospital stay, I was finally given a neurological team. As the Vice President of the United States was on TV this very day saying that there were no cases, I was lying in a hospital bed diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome, past gastroparesis, POTS syndrome, neuropathic, small fiber neuropathy, absent seizures, and pericarditis, not to mention gastroparesis and 2 more autoimmune diseases. Confirmed reaction to Moderna by multiple doctors. I got COVID 3 times post-Moderna. It has been 2 agonizing years of medical treatment and testing. I'm only 37 years old and I have 24 doctors. I've spent over $30,000 in medical treatment that is not covered by my insurance. I ultimately had to leave my career. I've been threatened, censored, harassed, deleted for telling my story. I am labeled anti-vax even though my full family is fully vaccinated. I've received death threats. I'm not recovered and I face new issues weekly. I am real, my injuries are real.
Thank you, Ms. Galvin.
And I'm here today because I still have a voice.
Thank you, Ms. Galvin. Our next speaker.
Right, so my name is Gina, and today's my 48th birthday, and I can't think of a better way to spend this day than to bring awareness to something that needs to be addressed. Before my one and only Pfizer 20 long months ago, I used to be an active and outgoing and fun, loving mom, wife, daughter, grandma, and teacher. Now I struggle to make it through each day without crying from fear of what is happening to my body and my brain. There are days that I have to hold my head with my hand to keep it from shaking. I have a hard time looking up and down. My eyes shake. I can't focus on things without my eyes twitching. Sometimes my head twitches if I try to focus on things too hard. I have intense ringing in my ears. I'm incredibly noise sensitive. My muscles and bones feel like they are not connected to my body and my brain. I have twitching in my arms and shoulders and legs. My brain feels like it's twisting inside of my skull. I can't lean forward to wash my hands or brush my teeth without holding on to things in fear that I'm going to flip over. I have multiple ocular migraines. I've been diagnosed with Lyme and Epstein-Barr virus, which I never had before. I have burning in my skin, in my eyes, in my face, in my arms, and my stomach. My vision is getting so blurry that I can't focus on things anymore. I am now food sensitive. I'm only able to eat 5 foods now without having severe reactions. My memory is so bad that I can't recall things that were said moments before. I've traveled to multiple cities and states looking for help from doctors, and the doctors that do believe me, they don't know how to help me. But the doctors that don't believe me have suggested that I find a therapist. After the severe trauma that I have been through in the last 20 months, the PTSD is so severe that I will definitely need a therapist. I have anxiety that riddles my body, and it feels like it's coming out of my pores. I've had suicidal thoughts, not because I wanted to die, but because I feel like a chemical took over my thoughts. I have written a letter to my family telling them goodbye and not to be sad if I happen to die from this, because I am suffering. And I don't even know how to mourn the life that I've lost.
Thank you, Mrs. Brown.
Where there is risk, there must be choice. I'm a registered nurse with close to 17 years of experience, whom a year ago was one of thousands in Orange County who had their job on the line due to the mandate. Where the state of Florida does have exemptions offered, 3 years in, we still have nurses who cannot work in Orange County due to loopholes in the mandate. I bring this up to you as someone who could still be suspended and even terminated for coming here today and speaking out on this topic. I stand here before you to ask you and your board members, are you willing to ensure this retaliation does not occur in your jurisdiction? As a community, how can we come together to ensure anytime you need health care, there are enough nurses to extend across our cities and ensure your loved ones will be cared for in a timely fashion and with the utmost compassion, or not? And while we are discussing the it is important to note that there are an overwhelming amount of patients whom have suffered adverse reactions and even death related to the emergency use authorization #died suddenly for verification. These individuals are real in your county, need to be acknowledged, supported by your community, and not gaslit. We are told to follow the science, but only if it is the science that discredits and censors those brave enough to step forward who are adversely affected by mandates and vaccines alike. I specialize in cardiac health care and have seen a rise in young, and otherwise healthy individuals with irregular heart rhythms, blood clots, POTS, and nervous system disorders at the hands of the emergency use authorization, removing all liability and silencing the voice of those with no one willing to help. Where this jurisdiction may have changed related to these topics in Orange County, as elected officials, we are counting on you to understand the importance of these issues. Respectfully, is it possible that the legal and medical donors throughout Central Florida may be willing to help your team rally for the residents to address these important concerns on both sides who are equally relevant to these concerns? I appreciate your time and look forward to how we are hearing to willing to assist. Thank you.
I'm a flight attendant for one of the #1 major airlines. I was not mandated, but I was heavily coerced nonstop into taking this. We were going to be hit monetarily and submit to weekly testing, and the pressures came daily from the higher-ups. At one point, other airlines were letting employees go, and I was terrified I would be next. As my husband had just retired, it wasn't an option for me, or else I felt like it wasn't an option for me. Sorry. 10 minutes after the injection, I felt a snap under my right eye, then nonstop twitching for several months. I knew immediately it was neurological. 14 days after my second, they found a brain aneurysm behind that eye in the ER. Within 3 hours of injection, I was crying in pain, holding my legs and my neck. Turns out it collapsed my blood vessels in my legs with the diagnosis of venous insufficiency and May-Turner syndrome. Within the next 6 weeks, I got to add 2 heart conditions, including another small aneurysm on my aorta, and I'm now on medication. I got a breast mass the size of a golf ball, high bone syndrome in my neck, trouble swallowing, and at times getting my voice to a certain octave. I was just told 3 weeks ago they found a second brain aneurysm in my head. That just doesn't happen in 11 months. Also found inflammation on my gallbladder. It's been 14 months and I'm still finding inflammation in my body every day. I still can't fly and I'm on long-term disability with a cut in pay. My career most likely ended that day, something I loved very much. I have been told by my cardiologist that I have been reported to doctors by the CDC and VAERS. I've lost faith in the medical establishment in my country. I would like to see the injured getting acknowledged and not portrayed as conspiracy theorists. I want the truth to come out on the media. I would like all mandates to stop, as these have now killed and injured more than the actual virus killed. I would like the injured to have treatment available.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. You're going to have to.
Like those of long, but as of now, no one will help us. Lastly, please, I challenge the mainstream media and the medical institutions to start reporting the truth about the injuries and the deaths. I am a mother, daughter, sister, and wife, and I matter to the people who love me. We all should matter, right?
Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Today I speak on behalf of a friend that can't make it. Her name is Amanda Boudreau, a small business owner from Apopka. Not only is her sister suffering from heart complications from she got the worst news possible than this past June when someone called to tell her that her father had died suddenly and unexpectedly. Her father, Ian, was a perfectly healthy man, active and about to play 18 holes of golf when he collapsed next to his car in the driveway. He had taken 3 within that last year. He believed the medical experts, the news media, the politicians. He thought he was doing the right thing. His cause of death was listed as a heart attack, and as always, his vaccination status never questioned. Amanda feels that her father would still be here today had he not been scared into taking an experimental product with no informed consent. And I'm afraid this is not an isolated incident, as her father's death is one of many that we're hearing where seemingly healthy people with no symptoms, young and old, drop dead or are found dead in their sleep. It is so widespread that a documentary film came out last week called Died Suddenly that interviews doctors, embalmers, funeral home directors, all of them seeing a sudden spike in unexplained deaths, in addition to alarming and unusual blood clots they're finding. There's a Facebook group called Died Suddenly with hundreds of thousands of members posting stories that you can scroll for hours. The common denominator, all these people got the poke. Last week, Dr. Oveta Fuller, a top virologist that voted for the emergency use authorization, died suddenly. In 2020, if you Googled the phrase died suddenly, you got 46 million search results. Today, in 2022, if you Google that, you get 1 billion results. Three things cannot be hidden, ladies and gentlemen. That is the sun, the moon, and all-cause mortality. I encourage you to look into this, and please recognize the victims that are going to be speaking today and all of those that spoke last week. You can find the film Died Suddenly at rumble.com. Thank you very much for your time, and I hope you will address the elephant in the room, as that
Thank
time
you,
is
Mr.
long
Harvey.
overdue. Thank you.
Appreciate your